Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, I haven't done a video inside in a while because it's just the weather, you know? I mean, there's no point in going inside to make a video when it's dry and not raining and, well, hot outside. But today, surprisingly and thankfully, it's kind of raining all day. In fact, at some points, it's been a real heavy downpour and we're not complaining at all. We're enjoying it. The animals are enjoying it. The garden is especially enjoying it, and it's just a nice relief. So we're certainly not going to complain about it. And I decided to come inside. If there was one thing that popped into my mind right now in regards to what's going on all over the world, you know, here in America especially, many of you have been very focused on what transpired last night in Florida, and others just don't care. The thing is, though, is I think regardless of the outcome, I think it just shows that we're getting further and further down that road, that progression of control, the progression of collapse, the progression of chaos. I mean, that's where we're headed to, in my opinion. And if there was one thing that I could say to anyone right now as just advice, and that would be keep your powder dry. And if you don't know what that means, get online and look it up because it comes from the Revolutionary War period. So keep your powder dry, folks. It's a big shock, I know, to all of you. But economists say that they are seeing prices rise and delays happen in shipments and possible impacts because of Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. I've got a video to actually show you here in just a minute. It's shocking. I mean, when you do this every day, you kind of get used to the things that happen and things that politicians and world leaders say and do. But every once in a while, something comes out, and it's pretty shocking. And it kind of takes you back, and you're like, I did not just hear that. Most certainly I didn't just hear that. And you have to watch it a few times, and you realize that, yeah, that's what you just heard. And we'll get to that here in just a minute. But the economists, again, they're saying that, hey, all this going to Taiwan and getting the Chinese all upset, and hey, we get a lot of stuff from China, and that Taiwan Strait there that China's doing all their, maneuvers and training and war games in. There's about $4 or $5 trillion a year of just products that flow through that strait, which is one of the reasons why everyone wants it. It's pretty valuable real estate. And I don't know why it would shock anyone, why anyone would need to say that, hey, you know what? The U.S. consumers are going to pay the most for this visit and for all this uproar, this, the saber rattling, the potential for war, and all this that's happening between us and China and really everyone else. Just like what's going on with us and Russia. All these sanctions that we're putting on Russia, and we're supposed to be hurting their economy, when in fact the value of their currency has increased and their economy is actually doing pretty well over in Russia considering what's going on. And the ones that are really hurting the most is us. It's not really even happening all over the world because in Mexico right now, they're paying some of the lowest prices in gasoline in Mexico than they've ever paid, at least in a very long time. But hey, it's okay. And we were told by the president that we'll do whatever it takes, right? No matter how much it hurts, no matter how bad it is, we'll do whatever it takes. Talking about food, which is kind of the focus of this video. Shrinking U.S. cattle herds signal more pain for high beef prices. Again, not a big shock. When there's less supply and there's still demand for something, I know this doesn't fit with modern economic theories that are probably being taught in schools and high school and colleges, but when you have less supply and you still have the same or an increased demand for something, then the price goes up. And with all this farmers having to sell off their herds, it's going to increase that. And then with this Inflation Reduction Act, and we don't fully know yet exactly everything that's going to happen because of it, but most certainly it has provisions in there to compel or restrict ranchers from producing cattle and farmers from producing food. So that's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. And we're already seeing this year problems because of the drought. mostly, but also potentially because of shortages in fertilizer and herbicides and pesticides and all that kind of stuff. But the USDA drops the conditions for corn, soybean, and wheat, meaning that it's almost every week or every couple of weeks when they come out with these current crop conditions, they're worse and worse and worse and worse. And what it's done, it's causing corn, soybean to go up. And again, when there's less of something, the price goes up. Tyson is raising the prices of chicken as demand shifts from expensive cuts of beef. So people can't afford beef anymore, and they're going to start buying chicken. And so they can say, well, it's an increased supply. You just said supply and demand, except you've been cutting back your supply. Like 38 million or so chickens that's been killed over this past year because of some bird flu that came out of nowhere and then kind of went away. And now Tyson is saying they've reported they're going to raise the price of their chicken by 20%. That's a pretty significant price increase, 20%, considering everything else that's going up. So folks, get ready for that. I strongly advocate raising your own chickens if you can. It's not that hard. It's not too expensive. And it takes a little bit to recoup the upfront costs, but you're going to get way better food too. It's not filled with all the junk in it and everything. Food shortages. Barron's News is reporting that food shortages could be coming even to the U.S. So this has been something that's been kind of argued back and forth. Not too many people are denying that all of these problems can and will and are causing food shortages in other countries, but there's been this debate of whether or not we'll actually see food shortages here in this country. I mean, we're the big boys, right? We're not going to experience food shortages. We might pay a little bit higher price for a loaf of bread, but will there actually be a shortage of bread? Economists are saying that it's starting to look like that, yes, that there's a strong possibility that we could experience some level of food shortages here in the United States. Again, you add that to everything else that's going on. We have to continue to remember that. Yes, it's fine to focus on one thing that's happening at a time, but in the back of our minds, we always have to remember that there's a lot of stuff going on all at once. A lot of stuff going on at once. Pennsylvania Agriculture Secretary is discussing potential food shortages impacting global markets. He's talking about it. There's a potential food shortage coming in months, he says. This is... it's not surprising. It's not funny. I know I shouldn't laugh, but it's crazy to me that so many people are still kind of glazed over. They're not getting it. Thankfully, most of you are getting it, and that's why you're preparing. Now, back to the Nancy Pelosi thing, because I have to talk about this because it's crazy. So you all know about her visit, right? And hold on a second. You might think that I'm just showing you this for fun, and it is kind of has a funniness to it. It's kind of hilarious. It's also a little scary. There's all kinds of things going on here. But I think what we're seeing here is that we are all being played. There's a big game going on. Wasn't it George Carlin that said something like that? It's a big game and you're not part of it. You're not invited to the party. It's a big party and you're not part of it. Well, that's exactly what's happening here. So we've all heard about the Nancy Pelosi's visit and how she was supporting Taiwan and their independence, and how we've got to really support them. Well, here I want to show you a clip here, and I don't know if I'll get in trouble for this because I'm sure it's probably copyrighted material. But anyways, Nancy Pelosi, well, listen to her. Number one, we'll break this clip up. Number one, she says that, well, we do support a China One policy. Listen to this.
We still support the One China policy. We go there to acknowledge the status quo is what our policy is.
We do support a China One policy. I mean, I know that last week I was talking about, Taiwan independence, and we have to support their position for seeking independence, but we still support a China One policy. But listen to this, folks. She goes on to say, and this is the clincher, she goes on to say that China is, well, it's the freest country on the planet. I mean, it's just the bastion of freedom. You got to listen to this.
China is one of the freest societies in the world. Don't take it from me. That's from Freedom House.
Let's
It's
talk a little bit.
democracy.
Yeah.
Oh, some people are saying online that she meant to say Taiwan. As of the making of this video, I cannot find anything from her office that is, rebutting this, that's trying to correct this, saying that she, misspoke and meant to say Taiwan instead of China. And that's very possible what they will come out to say. But I have seen mainstream news articles supporting her in her saying this, that, China has gone a long way to becoming the freest nation, or one of the freest, and that this new policy, these new policies from Xi Jinping are destroying that, and we've got to step up and stand up to them. Is she being bought and paid for in the back pocket of the CCP? I can't answer that, but I can tell you what it looks like. And it does look like that. It looks like that. And here's a question before I finish that. If that's true, if China is so great, sorry, I have something in my mouth. If China is so great, and they're great freedom, democracy, blah, 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 then why are we fighting against them? Why don't we just hand ourselves over to them? Maybe that's what they're trying to do. I can't tell you, but I can tell you this. This is insanity. This is absolute insanity. This is, Nancy Pelosi is the same person that actually has gone on record and talked about the mistreatment of the Muslim population in China. There's mistreatment of Christian populations in China. There's mistreatment of everyone in China. They lock their people in cages and weld them into their apartments, and they put them in concentration camps, their own citizens, for no reason whatsoever. And apparently that's okay. And that still makes you the freest nation on the planet. They're such a clean nation. I mean, they pollute the world more than probably most of the rest of the first world nations combined. Okay? That's how much pollution that they produce. We're now going to spend at least $750 billion trying to, increase our green footprint and lower our carbon footprint. And it's not going to do anything to the planet if China's over there still producing. But we got to turn a blind eye to that. If you folks can't realize by now that this country is being bought, paid for, and owned, title and deed by the CCP, that one day we're going to wake up, better start learning to speak Mandarin or Cantonese, because they own a lot of stuff. They own farmland, they own infrastructure, they control and own a lot of businesses, ports, all kinds of stuff. Lots of land next to military bases and installations. And our own leadership just can never stand up to them. Absolute cowardness. And if the people can't see this, I can guarantee you the CCP see this. If she wasn't ordered to say this by the Chinese, I can guarantee you that they're sitting over there smiling. Look at her after all this, and she's just still kissing our, rear ends. Let's put it the nice way. Let's keep it G-rated. Folks, keep your powder dry. I mean, we've got potential civil war right here in the United States brewing. We've got collapse of economy. We've got collapse of our food supply and general supply chain. We've got massive potential wars on various different fronts breathing down our throat. We've got a complete degradation of our morality in this country. This isn't to scare you. This is to wake you up. Get your houses in order, folks. Prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Things are happening in the world. It doesn't mean that the end is happening right now. It doesn't mean that we're going to experience complete, total destruction and annihilation. It means that things are going to be pretty rough, I would say, over the next few years, and that's putting it nicely. It may get really, really bad. Either way, you need to get ready. Prepare in every possible way that you can, and take it serious. And teach your family this too. Don't try to be just the one person in the family doing it. Get your whole family involved in preparedness and getting yourselves mentally and physically and spiritually ready. Folks, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.